Welcome to our latest NCAA social series. I'm Andy Katz. On this edition of our show, we're going to talk to student athletes who participated in the Career in Sports Forum in Indianapolis in June. Get a sense of what they got out of that program, what it meant to them, and how it will help them going forward. And now joining me here on the NCAA social series, Colby Wilson. He is majoring in sport management. He'll be a senior at Springfield College, Division III school in Massachusetts. And Colby was at the Career in Sports Forum earlier in June in Indianapolis. And Colby, this is one of many kind of forums to really engage student athletes, not just during their career, but especially now going forward after, which you'll be in that real world here sooner than later. What'd you get out of it?
Yeah, so honestly, going in, I had attended the immersion program, which was for ethnic background students in January. So I had pretty high expectations because that was an amazing program for me. I think the coolest thing coming out of this one, so the first program was only 35 students. This was a bigger cohort of about 200. So I think what was really amazing to see was so many like-minded but different at the same time individuals across all three divisions in the NCAA. And then also seeing how willing faculty in the NCAA, whether that's administrators, coaches, advisors, how willing they were to interact with us and not just help us with that weekend, but if you followed up with them after the weekend, they were willing to help for weeks, months, however long we needed to be mentored following it. So I think the coolest thing is those connections. So many people are different, which is awesome. That's how we make sports go around. So I think seeing how all these different backgrounds came together and we're willing to help each other. So I think it's a bright future for sports.
What's critical is that networking that you were discussing. And so often student athletes, the public only hears about the ones that are trying to become professionals. Not that it couldn't happen for a Division III student or someone, could be Olympian, obviously, in track and field like yourself. But there needs to be a path to figure out if you want to stay in the sports space, how do you do it? How do you network? How do you deal with, a wide swath of potential jobs in Division I, II, III, NAI, junior college, you name it? What were some specific tangible things you could take away that you think might help you going forward?
For sure. Yeah, like you said, the sport world is very broad. So, as a student athlete now, I could finish out my senior season, and I could go find a job maybe in the NCAA in the sport industry. But at the same time, I could also go back to my school or go to a new institution for, a master's degree and use my eligibility. So I think with the sport world, it's so broad. And some of the big takeaways I had were not to limit myself, be a sponge, take in everything we're hearing. Something we heard the first day was, be careful of who's in your backpack, making sure you have great people with you. And also maybe along the road, there's people who've helped you, but you don't need them in your backpack anymore. So you can go take them out. So I think for me personally, I love sports. Sports have been in the centerpiece of my life as long as I can remember. And I also love just getting to know and interact with people. So in sports, that's a pretty broad category still. But then at the same time, just hearing at the forum, hearing so many different people, whether that's people in pro sports working in player engagement, student athlete development in the NCAA, D1, D2, D3. It's just so broad. And I think just being able to go out and reach out to those people, pick their brains. Like I said, just be a sponge. And I think everyone takes different paths too, which is very interesting. You see people who, they went right into the sport world, started with an internship at a school, ended up getting a job, and they grew from there. And then you also see people who, maybe their undergrad wasn't in something sport related and they started out in the business world and they were working some 9-to-5 desk job that they decided, this isn't for me. So I think just being able to learn from all the different paths that get people to the same goal was my biggest takeaway. It's very inspiring.
This summer you're interning at USA Track and Field in Indianapolis. How much has what you've been doing on campus, whether it's your Men of Excellence group representing the student athlete leadership, or just being a student athlete or going to the Career in Sports Forum, how much did all those things either help you get this gig or help you now that you have it for the summer in terms of really enhancing your experience?
For sure. Yeah, just starting off to answer that, I mean, I can't thank Springfield College enough. Something I always talk about is when you get an opportunity to do something, take it. Springfield College is full of opportunities, whatever people's interest may be. So I think I've made the most of my experience there by, getting out, whether it's becoming the president of Men of Excellence or being on the executive board for a new student orientation coming up in August, representing the student athlete leadership team. I think all these things come with great honor. So I need to be, stay humble, know I'm representing my school, my mentors, my fellow classmates. And I think all those factors combined made me confident in myself and ready to go, apply to a national governing body like USA Track and Field for the summer. We're out working meets 9, 12 days we're gone for. You're busy 6-day meet, setup, breakdown. So I think just a combination of everything I've learned from not only my experiences, but the people who came along that path. Not just at Springfield College. Growing up, my parents always did anything I needed, they did it for me. So I was always set up for success. I feel like from having an older brother to look up to, two great parents as role models, and I think all those factors came together in me being able to just go for it at Springfield College, which later allowed me to get to this career in sports forum, and then now allowed me to get this internship at USA Track and Field. So, I can't thank those people enough that helped me get to where I am now. And I think my way to repay them is just keep on pushing. Like I said, when opportunity comes, take it, keep growing. Never limit myself to saying, oh, maybe there's one thing I want to do and that's all I want to do. Even if I get to a job that I feel like, this is what I want to do. This could be something that I do for my life. So even if that happens, still being able to look out and maybe keep growing. So I just can't thank Springfield College and the NCAA, USA Track and Field, my family, ever and enough for getting me to this point.
One last thing, Colby, that I think you're a great example to speak on is that, there's been so much discussion of separation of this school and that school based on money, but what you went through in early June is a great example of the importance of a centralized body to bring different student athletes together from different levels of all sports and divisions. How critical is it to have that, to have a place to go to meet others, whether administrators, faculty, peers from various institutions and sports from across the country?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that was probably my biggest takeaway from this forum rather than the first one. It's just so much broader. And I think a lot of times, those Division I athletes and all the athletes really, you get a certain rep based on your division. If you're a Division I athlete, people think, oh, you're just really good at your sport, and people are going to hand things to you when you graduate because you were really good at your sport. And then when you look at D3, people often think, yeah, they're decent at their sport, but it's not going to take them anywhere in their life. But I think you could combine the two, all three divisions. Each division has their own catchphrase, and I think they all apply to not just themselves, but the NCAA as a whole. I think for me, it was really cool to come from a small school of 2,000-3,000 kids, be able to interact with someone from a school like Auburn or a school like University of Connecticut and hear how their experience, even though they're at such a big Division I athlete school, it's similar in the end. Everyone who was there, they obviously were picked. It was very hard to get into, so they were picked for a reason. So I think what was really cool to me was seeing how motivated people are for different areas in sport. Some people want to be athletic counselors. Some people were there, they want to be a coach. Some people want to work in compliance, And I think not just networking with those who ran the program, but us staying in touch as a group after the fact is going to, I think we can really change the sports and make it for the better. So I think being able to follow up with all those student athletes, D1, D2, D3, it's easy to follow up with people from your conference or your state, but really reaching out, for me, keeping in touch with people on the West Coast or in the Southern America, there's plenty of different places where lots of different things are happening, but sports are still at the center of. So I'm very grateful for the NCAA for the opportunity. And, I can't say thank you enough to those who got me there and who keep pushing me after the weekend.
Well, Colby, appreciate your time. Have a great time the rest of this summer with your gig with USA Track and Field, and hope you have great success in your final season at Springfield College.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me.
And now joining me here on our NCAA Social Series, Randi Thompson from North Texas. Randi, I want to dive a little bit deeper into your career here, but let's first go back to the month of June, the Career and Sports Forum. It could be basically what you got out of it, what you put in. When you left there, what kind of difference did it make for you?
Honestly, I always knew that I was pretty interested in having a career in sports, but it really opened my eyes to the amount of opportunities and the different jobs that are available. I didn't even know that there were like 30 plus positions just off of the court and even just at the NCAA. I was just more so thinking just for me to be involved in sports, I had to be a director of operations or like a coach or someone direct with the team. But it allowed me to see that there was other things like governance and laws being made within sports and stuff like that. And I think it just allowed me to just view multiple things instead of having my eyes set on one thing.
So your career got off to a great start. Then there was an injury, so you had to take a medical. Now you're on the way back. But how much did that year dealing with that injury alter your thinking a little bit of what am I going to do next and how do I get there down that path?
Honestly, just back when I had my first injury, my sophomore year of high school, I understood that like even if I do go to college for basketball or for sports, that I don't know if it's something that I'll be able to make it all the way to the professionals with. And I just think you do have to be realistic with your future. And so I did have to get my brain invested into other things. And that led to me getting my degree in recreation, event, and sports management. But I think honestly, since I've been in high school, I've had my eyes set on having to figure something out besides basketball.
You know, when you've talked to teammates and peers, I mean, how much does it take an injury or injuries for players, student athletes to come to that realization?
I mean, everyone's different. I think it has a lot to do with who you grew up around. I just happen to be around a lot of smart cousins and siblings that that steer me in the right direction, you know? And so I think it's just kind of what you truly aspire to be in life. Honestly, some people don't really think past college. I'm just grateful enough to have people to force me to think past college. And not everyone has that, but I honestly can say I could give that credit to my family mostly, honestly.
North Texas had not had someone at the Career in Sports Forum. What does that say? That you're also representing the University of North Texas as a first person to try to go down this path and use something like this at the NCAA that really could be beneficial?
The simple fact that I've had someone that's nominated me for this, I don't know if people have been nominated in the past, but just the simple fact that I was nominated, and I'm pretty sure I was the only person that actually, or me and the one other person, we were the only ones that actually went through with the process. I just think the simple fact that I even cared enough to even get that done and have someone go over my interview and my questions and everything, I think just showing that I have the initiative to go farther, I think it says a lot. And also with me being a woman, I think that says more that we definitely need to get women more involved in sports.
What did it show you that there's such a diversity, not just of people, but of so many different student athletes from Division 1, 2, 3, that it's not just about, you know, some of the headline schools that we hear about, that there are so many student athletes out there that want and need opportunities. They just want some direction.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, it was very inspiring to see people at all levels and playing all different sports. Like I met an equestrian, I met a couple of swimmers, I met people that played sports I've never even heard of. And just to know that there's people out there that care just as much about their future or even more. I think it was very inspiring just to be able to be part of such a small group of people, but also knowing that there's more of us than I initially thought.
And also, you know, we've talked so much about opportunities for female student athletes. Gender equity obviously is an important topic that is getting more attention, hopefully more changes, but that's on the playing field, the court. We still have a long way to go in the professional administrative space, not just even coaches, in those administrators, people that you were probably meeting there, for women, for people of color. What needs to change in your generation to get more into that feeder system so that there are more people of color, more women who are administrators and have control and power and able to make decisions?
Honestly, I just think people need to get the word out more. I think people like me that are encouraged to further their career in sports and just in general. I need to start vouching for my group of people a little bit more, or just women in general. I think we just need to start making it more known that women need to be in sports more. I think it is a known thing that we do need women in sports, but I think women don't know of the opportunities that are involved. I think when women that are not involved in sports think of getting a job in sports, they think of, oh, I have to, be a manager, be a water girl or something like that. They don't understand that there's different avenues and different paths you can take to be a woman in sports, basically.
So what's next for you?
Honestly, I'm hoping I can get a graduate assistantship somewhere. I still have a whole year left. I have a semester of internships and everything, hopefully with some very high level companies. And then just hopefully still furthering my career in sports.
Well, Randy, best of luck to you. We appreciate you taking some time to talk to us about your experience at the Career in Sports Forum. Thank you.
Thank you.
And a thank you to our guests participating on this latest edition of the NCAA Social Series. As always, you can go to ncaa.org/social series, where all our social series are archived. Thanks for watching, everyone.